10,000 as well. So there is pain in the markets at large too. But just very quickly, RBL Bank, just look at what's happened. I mean, one of the things that MK, for example, highlighted yesterday was that they foresaw that the quantum of loan growth from RBL Bank will come out when they had a meeting from 30 to 35% to 20 to 25%. This note came out yesterday, and of course, like MK did, I'm guessing some of the others would also have gone out and cut. They've cut the rundown in the wholesale book, cut due to the rundown in the wholesale book. The wholesale book may grow just about 10% versus 28%. So there are business reasons for this, for MK to do what it has done. Beyond that, I reckon there might be some asset quality issues that might be there for the stock to crack from 380 to 300 in a matter of 2 trading sessions. Manav Chopra, firstly to you on the charts, RBL Bank, we'll come to the index in a bit. Since we're talking about RBL, 15.5%, it might be late to maybe initiate a short. My question to you is, what kind of levels does such a fall open up on the downside for the stock like this?
Looking at the charts, the most importantly, the stock has been on a very weak trend. In fact, any short-term pullback rally that we also saw a few days back, it has seen aggressive selling and open short positions. And this decline has accompanied by very sharp volumes compared to any pullback where we saw very subdued volume. So I sense the selling is yet not complete. It's all about demand and supply. So right now the supply has been so aggressive that the demand has also not been able to take over. So on the immediate basis, the next support that we see for the stock on the lower side will be around 245 to 250 levels. I think that is the next support. But in such scenarios where the stock is in a very sharp downtrend, I think the more relevance for the most important one should give for the levels on the upside, which is the resistance. I sense on the upside 315 is then is a short-term resistance. So any pullback rally towards these levels will continue to witness selling pressure. But I don't recommend anyone looking to buy this stock. It's still in a falling knife kind of scenario, and it could see some further more downside.
Mridul Jalan of Senora with us as well, and then we'll get to Ruchit too. Mridul, thanks so much for joining, and we'll talk about the markets at large. But what does an investor do when he looks at a stock like RBL Bank and the way it's fallen? I mean, the last 2 days it's corrected over the last 1 month. Let's say you had it in your portfolio. If you're unlucky enough to have it in your portfolio, what would you do now?
Thanks, Neeraj, for giving me this time. Now, coming to RBL Bank, talking from any investor, whether it's a long-term, large, small investor, price volatility becomes a bigger concern. That's where the problem with RBL Bank. When something falls the way it falls, as we have seen with RBL Bank, and as Manoj rightly said, even traders, investors, they don't have the appetite to take such extreme volatility.
Sure.
So even if something is cheap relatively, you will want to wait and watch before entering it. Even a long-term investor will think twice, because you don't want to see another 10% down in this market when you have bought it thinking it's cheap. This is the kind of trap where people have got hurt badly in the past. Yes Bank, Indiabulls, Diwan Housing, there are many names where you really don't know what's happening at the corporate level. And unless you know that, you stay away. And this creates a demand-supply mismatch. So even if I want to buy it in my portfolio because it is cheap, I will have to wait it out till the carnage is over. And if it's a quality stock, which I hope in RBL case it is, then whenever the bounce comes, it will be as sharp as the fall is. But if you ask me as an investor or as an advisor, I will stay away from the stock for now.
Okay, that's RBL Bank for you, down 16%, sub 300 mark. Neeraj, issue price was 225. It listed in August 2016, so it's inching maybe very closer to that mark. The cautious commentary from the management had already spooked the markets, but to this level now, the focus of this high growth, high margin bank will now shift to asset quality, how they exercise prudence now because of the stress, high stress book they're sitting on, according to MK, is about 900 to 1,000 crore, which is almost 1.7% of the loan book for RBL Bank. All right, let's move on and take Manav's view on markets as well before we proceed and talk about some individual fundamental ideas. Manav, first a view on Nifty. We've snapped the 3-day gains on Nifty, Bank Nifty. Would you take any bet just a day before the expiry?
See, the markets are going to be quite choppy going forward. looking at the short-term data from the derivative side, I sense the expiry tomorrow, the markets would expire below the levels of 11,100, 11,200 is where there is a very strong build-up, and which is also acting as a very important resistance. And on the lower side, 10,900 is the support. So in a nutshell, at least for next couple of trading sessions, we would see some bit of a choppy or a consolidation move going forward. Until unless the market does not breach or close below 11,100 levels, we will not see any strong momentum rally on the upside. But on the lower side, I think the next important supports for the Nifty would be 10,900 and 10,850 would be the levels to look out for, in case if there is any base building or if there is any strong buying that comes into the place, that could give a positive trigger. But for now, I think 11,100 seems to be a very strong selling pressure, at least for the Nifty. Looking at the charts for the Bank Nifty, similar formations. Bank Nifty in fact has seen a breakdown decisively below its yesterday's low, and if it closes below that, I think that would hint a negative sentiment, at least for next couple of trading sessions. On the upside, Bank Nifty has a very stiff resistance at 28,100, and for the near-term perspective, I think it's important that in such a scenario and with the volatility, one should maintain a neutral stance to a negative biases. We would want to wait for a dip in the next couple of trading sessions, at least on the index level, to initiate any fresh longs.
Okay, wait for a dip to initiate fresh longs in Bank Nifty. We've also got Richard Jain of Angel Broking with us. Hi Richard, good afternoon to you. How are you approaching the trade with the fall of almost 100 points on Nifty, tomorrow being expiry day, the premium on the 11,100 call and put indicating a range of about 10,900 to 11,100 on the top. Is that something you're looking at?
Yes, hi, very good afternoon. Certainly, what we have seen in today's trading session that 11,100 and 11,200 call options have been adding open interest since morning itself, and I think this is why 11,100 now, at least for tomorrow's trading session, would become a very strong resistance, and it would be very difficult to again reclaim that 11,100 for tomorrow's session. So I think yes, you rightly said that 10,950, 10,900 could be the levels on the lower side, which could be tested in next maybe by tomorrow's trading session itself. But frankly, if I look from a positional perspective, then I believe that today's correction is not any resumption of the short-term downtrend that we have seen in the recent past. From the day of budget, if we look at the daily chart, then we are of the opinion that the index has completed a 5-wave decline at Friday's low. Now, only in 3 trading sessions we had seen a pullback move of almost 500 points. And that is why I think this correction of today should be just taken as a corrective move. I think one should take a buy on dips approach now. The 50% retracement of the 500 point up move that we have seen in last 3 trading sessions is coming somewhere around 10,900. So if we get 10,900 kind of levels, that would ideally be good levels to enter fresh longs. So currently, we have already seen a 100-point decline from the high. So wait for further declines, and maybe around 10,900 one should start again buying the index for a move towards 11,100, 11,200 in September.
You have some stocks to recommend, Ruchit?
Yeah, I have a couple of buy recommendations. Primarily, this is the market where you should be looking at stocks which are outperforming and those who are not falling in current market scenario. So I have 2 such recommendations. One is a buy call in Avenue Supermart. Well, we have seen that irrespective of the market fall in last few weeks, this stock has shown an outperformance, and after consolidating in a range, the prices have given a breakout from its resistance end. So we are expecting this outperformance to continue. So traders can go long in DMAT with stop below 1,510 for short-term target of 1625, and some of the insurance names too have been in this space where irrespective of the market decline, they have been showing strength. ICICI Lombard, after a corrective phase, has seemed to have again resumed its broader degree uptrend. So ICICI Lombard is my second buy recommendation with stop below 1190 for target around 1330.
Okay, Manav, what about your stock recommendations this afternoon?
Yes, I have 2 buy call. My first buy call is on Balkrishna Industries. The prices on the weekly chart has managed to form a higher bottom and has seen a range breakout and is currently trading above its short-term averages. It has an important support at 730 levels on the downside, and after a good amount of underperformance, and the prices are also bouncing from its weekly oversold levels. If you're looking at also at the international rubber prices, it has declined by over 30%, and rupee is also depreciated. I sense at least in the near term, tire stocks would be one of the favorable stocks to look out for in case of the market stabilizes and move going forward. Balkrishna Industries also has formed a good accumulation pattern. I sense it's a good time to buy this stock. It has limited downside and very favorable risk reward. A stop loss of 720 for Balkrishna Industries for an upside target of 800. My second buy call would be on Voltas. In fact, the stock has seen a breakout on the daily charts and is currently trading above its important short-term averages. It has series of support around the levels of 615 on the lower side, which also coincides with a positive crossover with the momentum indicators. A buy into Voltas with a stop loss of 610 for an upside target of 650.
Mrudul, what's your sense, if you were...
Okay, that's Tata Global Beverages for you. And of course, we've been highlighting how metal space has not been doing well. In fact, you had Moody's coming out and downgrading the Asian steel players. You've got the Nifty Metals Index down 3.5%. Jindal Steel and Power, one of the constituent of that index, is down 8%. Manav, on the charts, do you see more downside for already beaten down counter JSPL?
Yes, in fact, the stock has been a complete underperformer, and it has been witnessing series of selling at the higher levels. It faces stiff resistance around the levels of 105, 108. So unless we don't see a breakout above this zone, the stock is likely to witness selling pressure. On the immediate basis, 93 is the important support. So the broader trading band for Jindal Steel in the past has been this 10 to 15 trading points. So I sense for any short-term trading recovery, one needs to see a break above 106 at least on a trading closing basis.
Okay, actually, do you have? I don't think BSE as a stock has managed to quite do that. What at life highs MCX or at 52-week highs at least? Manav Chopra, do you track MCX as a stock?
Yes, in fact, the stock has been on a very strong momentum since past few weeks. We have seen the stock break out also from its weekly resistance of 865, 870, and since then, we have seen a very sharp volume increase. The stock is in a complete different zone of a momentum compared to what market is in. And looking at this scenario, I think anybody who's holding on to the long position should definitely continue doing so. And one should also have a trail stop loss in this scenario. So 910 on the lower side is a trail stop loss, and we have seen the volumes above 50-day average volumes. I sense there could be a short-term pause or a consolidation, but I don't see any correction coming into the stock, at least for the near-term perspective. The upside targets for this stock is close to 1020.
Okay, that's the tech.
Okay, let's get in closing strategies from our experts first before we talk about anything else. There are some stocks that I want to talk about, NIT Tech in particular, but first the closing strategies. Manav, to you first, your top closing strategy.
Yes, my first buy call is on Marico. The prices have seen a good bounce from its important support and is closing above its yesterday's high. So looking at this scenario, the prices have bounced and overall it has been on a good trend. The breakout has also accompanied by above average volumes. This is a buy with a stop loss of 380 on the lower side for an upside target of 405.
Okay, Ruchit, what about you?
Since IT is ending on a high note, I would take one stock from IT Pack for BTST. Tata Tech Mahindra seems to be gearing for a pullback move over here. Last 4 trading sessions, the 20 days exponential moving average has been acting as a support, and so keeping a stop below 678, I would recommend doing a BTST for target around 712.
Okay. Well, 712 and technology series certainly doing well. Navneet was talking about NIT Tech. That stock is, of course, trading at, I think, 52-week highs for itself, but select other names too are doing rather well for themselves. Yogesh, any thoughts? NIT Technologies, it doesn't quite come out as a favorite from a mid-cap IT pack, but do you like it?
NIT Tech particularly, I would say that the buyback might be would be of an interest, and probably the hedge overall would have driven the stock into fancy. But otherwise, it was always trading at a fairly neutral value, fairly attractive, fairly fair valuation. So there is no much room upside, and either the management has come out anytime with the confidence, posing confidence that the business is very much on track. So it was totally out of the flavor. But somehow the stock price has always been in a fancy, and the stock has moved up and still going high on the all-time high level, but never tracked so closely, so won't be able to comment much.
Okay. Well, a couple of pockets which have done well, and Yogesh, what are your thoughts here? Two pockets on which there is expectation of some measures coming through. One is media, and maybe the FDI news or otherwise, but everything from a Balaji Telly to HT Media to a clutch of other names, Network 18, all of them are doing well. If you have any thoughts here. The other one is, of course, real estate. Again, anticipation of some announcements by the government, and Oberoi for other reasons, of course, but Brigade, Anantraj, that whole pocket is doing well.
Neeraj, media, I have no much of an idea of what was the announcement, and probably single brand retail company, the retail side could be one which is now murmuring is going on. I'm under opinion that real estate is the one where government needs to think over seriously and get some resolution onto that, because the overall slowdown has started from that center point of real estate, and that needs to be addressed first. If that gets resolved, then I think if that statement or any clarification comes, or any solution for that comes, then I think Oberoi Realty, Godrej Properties, even the Brigade Enterprises, which are South dominated so far, all these would be good pockets to enter into, because they have been large, but so far in last 2 years, even after the RERA has been implemented, they have done with a good set of numbers. Of late, in last 1 or 2 quarters, they are showing some sign of tapering sales, but I think it would be a good opportunity for these companies to get into.
Okay. By the way, just keep in mind, I think the one, okay, let's first get a technical check going on the real estate stocks. Then I want to talk about a catch-up play in a couple of pockets. But Manav, any real estate stock that is worth its salt as a trade?
See, looking at the charts of Brigade and Shobha, both these stocks are very well placed, and in fact, they have been a good outperformer in past few quarters, not even the months. And Brigade, after a good sideways consolidation, the breakout it has witnessed on the upside, and Shobha also, since it has bounced from its oversold levels, and with volumes, the prices have managed to even exceed its previous highs. I sense, at least in the near term, one can take some bets, at least on the positional front. There is still a further room of at least 10 to 15% that can be seen on the upside. I sense Shobha could see this rally extended towards the levels of 580.85, which was its previous peak. On the immediate basis, 510 is an important support, and one can also maintain a stop loss on these stocks.
Okay, couple of these stocks, and we spoke about them, but what want to chart check going, because I think there's a bit of a catch-up play happening both in Reliance Nippon Asset Management or Nippon Life, as it actually factually is now. 277, 8%. I think the last 5 days, post this open offer getting over at 230, it was at 215 a month ago. From there, I think it's had a remarkable up move, Reliance Nippon Asset Management. So that is part one. The other one, and so it's playing on catch up to HDFC AMC. The other one is ICICI Pru. Darshan was talking about it, how seeing some bit of buying. And I think that on valuation terms is playing catch up to SBI Life and HDFC Life. So no surprise here, the kind of moves that we've seen here. We've discussed these fundamentally. To each one of you, Ruchit and Manav, a stock each. Ruchit, to you first. Would you trade Reliance Nippon Asset Management?
So, we have seen a high top, high bottom structure on the daily chart, and the kind of move that we are seeing today, 261 was the major resistance which has been crossed. So in case if this rally has to sustain, then again the stock should not again go below 260 kind of levels. So at current levels, if one can initiate fresh longs, but the quantum should be less, because the stop loss is coming around 8%. So one should adjust the risk management accordingly. So 260, below 260, one should keep a stop loss, and on the high side one can expect target somewhere around 300.
Okay, and what about ICICI Pru, Manav?
Yes, you see, the stock has been in a very strong momentum. In fact, we have seen the stock being in a very strong uptrend, and it has seen a decisive close above 410, which was its previous hurdles of last 2.5, 3 months. I sense in the immediate basis, and since it's going to be a strong weekly close with a good trend reversal. The stock is showing some sort of a good momentum and a run up to its previous stocks also. On the upside, this pattern has opened towards the targets of 460, which is quite likely to be achieved. We recommend a buy that one can also initiate long positions even at the current levels with a stop loss of 405.
Okay, gentlemen, stay on. Actually, Yogesh, take a moment to thank you for joining in today. We just 2 minutes left for the markets to shut, so appreciate you joining in and giving us your thoughts. But let's start wrapping up the markets.